get to that Caitlin Clark topic, right? She has been receiving a lot of backlash.
I heard also because she's not a lesbian. There's also
and she's Catholic. She's Catholic Christian. Yeah, she has a boyfriend,
and she's not black. Right?
She's like a regular white chick. I think the WNBA, it's predominantly a black lesbian league. I think they wanted to bring the league to prominence their way. They wanted,
but it's not been working.
It's not been working, right? So they sold 20,000 seats for Caitlin's game.
You have an athlete now that is bringing in audiences,
the dollars.
Let me finish my fucking comment.
No,
and then she entered the NCAA champs, ranked number 1 among women. And I'm saying this is just not fair. You have male, female, and open. That way, it's fair.
One of the problems that I think that's caused this is the whole feminist movement. I'd say the women have done this to themselves.
Oh, you don't love women? He's like, why? Because I don't want transgender women to compete against sports. I'm like, you're supposed to be a feminist. You're supposed to be bringing females up.
Welcome back to the DC Talks podcast with David Chinelli. I'm your co-host, Agent 00 Owen Osende. And today we got an interesting topic, man. DC, a lot of women think that they can beat guys in sports. What are your thoughts about that? Straight right into
it. Depending on what sport, I would say no.
You say no, right?
I say no in all of them. And listen, I don't mean to be listen, let's be honest. I just think it's an unfair advantage. Unless the sport doesn't take anything with speed or physicality. If it's just brain power, I think women are smarter than us. I think in most aspects.
Yeah,
but
for
we're not talking about sports. We're talking physical attributes. Like, no, I would say no. And that's why I sent you a couple of topics of which I wanted to talk about. And this is one of the ones that popped up. The one you asked me that question, Owen, in case our audience is wondering.
Well, the reason I'm asking you that is because a lot of recent times, I'd say the past 3 to 4, 5 years, there's been this trend where a lot of women are really looking for an equal playing field with the men. They think they can compete with the men. They think they could be compensated the same as the men. And those things are just not possible. Well, let's start with the physicality of certain things.
Like you're going to get people yelling at you and stuff too. So let's, first of all, let's unwind this a little bit here, right? So competition between, like, for example, like I used to coach women's hockey, was saying before, and it's like we had like 7 or 8 Olympians on our team, and I remember going on the ice with them, and I was like not even trying. They were like, no offense to them, but they were playing at the highest level. And I hadn't played hockey. I was like 25 to 30 at the time. Like anytime I jump on the ice, and I could just tell like their skill level wasn't where we were. I've grown up at a high level. You know, I almost played pro, like semi-pro, bounced around a little bit, never solidified, but I did play in university. And anyway, long story short, it was like, you know, it wasn't just me that felt that way, right? It was like, when you're looking at women, when they compete against in sports at every level, it's like they're just different games. So the hockey, for example, men's hockey is a lot more body checking and fighting and things like, whereas women is like not more elegant. They still have a lot of contact. It's just a different game. And let's be honest, their shots aren't as hard or as heavy. It's two different things.
Hard and heavy.
They're not as heavy and they're not as fast. So I'll give you an example. What's the difference? I'm a goalie. There's a hard shot, a shot that comes in and hits you hard, right? But heavy hurts you. So it's two different things, right? I had this guy on our team named Ernie Thorpe. The guy was a brick shit house. I love the guy. He was one of my roommates. It was like awesome guy. When he wound up, me and the other goalies got scared because he would hurt us on every shot. Like it was just a heavy, and it wasn't that fast, but there's something, the power he put in, it would hit you and you're like, oh, I'm like, oh my God, it would actually bruise us right through. And that's the difference. That never happened to me when I played with the women's team. No offense. And I don't say it. And I remember one time in practice, and I gave the team shit about this. And then Jana Heffer can talk about this, or Lori Dupree can talk about this, or even Vicky Sonahara. I remember those were 3 of the girls on our team that they're Olympic athletes. And I gave them shit. And I was like, guys, I was sitting on there and I sat on the right post for a reason. And none of you even looked up. You guys were hitting me right in the chest. And I was like, it's just a different game, right? If I did that at any time in the highest level, which would have been when I was the Dessa Jackalobes, I was in the preseason game. I was at a tryout with them. Dude, I remember a couple times I cheated just a little bit. They were pinging the top corner. I never saw the shot. Again, just a different game. So it's not fair, right? In that kind of sense. So you can't I'm not saying that I don't enjoy women's sports. Listen, I coached them for 5 years, and we still watch women's hockey. Like now they have the new NHL team, whatever, the PWHL. I wish them all the best. It's just a different game, and it's weird to say that women could compete against men. And even that, how many different times we've seen this? It's like I was showing you this article where Canada's women hockey team drops third straight Olympic tune-up to men's junior squad.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these stories that like guys are in their 15s, or guys are 15 or 16 are beating our Olympics,
Just crushing them, exactly.
Crushing them. And then I, like this game was only 3-0, I think
Mm-hmm.
it was, but there was other games that were here. What? And then there's another one. FC Dallas 15 boys under beat U.S. women's national team in a scrimmage. Like,
Mhm.
and it's not. And then even you talk to, we talked about other sports like individual sports,
Swimming, tennis.
swimming and tennis. Then there's Serena Williams.
Yep.
So she talks about, well, what if you're ever, like she was on David Letterman, and she said, well, Andy Murray keeps trying to get her to play a match against her. This is back in the day. Obviously, David Letterman has been on the air in like 10 years, and he's like, no, man, he'd whip my ass and like he'd beat me, like take 6 minutes to beat me.
Mhm.
Like, he beat me like 6-0 and 6-1. It's a different. She admits too. It's a different game. The men's game is a lot more power, a lot more serves. I love actually watching women's tennis
Mhm.
because there's more elegance to it.
Mhm.
The matches will last longer. There's a lot more back and forth. So as a spectator's perspective, to be honest with you, I enjoy the women's game better.
Yeah.
So again, it's different.
Mhm.
So unless you understand that the game, and because we are built different,
Mhm.
the games are different.
Mhm.
And to think that you're not is just naive.
Mm.
I'm sorry. It's overly naive, right?
So-
And they actually had Serena, and I don't know if you remember this, Serena and her sister Venus. There was like a doubles match or something. They played against men, or like it was, and there was a whole competition that's in here too. They both
got
they got crushed.
Even Serena admitted, is like, listen, even if I play the 170th ranked tennis player in the world, I will get smoked.
So the criteria for her and her sister were playing was they had to play against men that are ranked higher than 200 in the
Mhm.
world, and they got spanked.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, like, I have the YouTube channels, all that stuff too. You can actually check that out. This is not me saying, like saying that women, you guys are amazing. Like,
Yeah,
again,
you're amazing.
that's what I don't think that people understand. It's like when we talk about sports, it has nothing to do with how amazing women are.
Mhm.
You always do stuff that we can never do. Like
Mhm.
it's just the way it is. And
Mhm.
there's stuff that we can do that you can't do.
Mhm.
And that's just the way it is. Except that there's nothing wrong with that,
Mhm.
And when we even talk about the WNBA, and we're saying, well, it's funny, but we talk about the WNBA and like women should get paid the same as the men. Well, it's like, well, no, then it comes down to sponsorship, right?
It's the economics of it.
Yeah. So
So
there's different levels.
So DC, what's your main issue with it? Is it that you think that a lot of women think that they can compete with men, and they're disillusioned?
I think it's people that have never played sports before have a false idealistic vision that all humans are created equal. And it's just not the case. This is why I also sent you that article, this is when the spawn this conversation was with the whole thing with Leah Thompson and transgender
Mhm.
women, formerly men, trying to compete against
The women.
the women.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this is just not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got some nasty messages when I posted something on my Instagram where I was like, where Leah Thompson's not acceptable to be able to play on the, to swim in the, Leah Thompson was from a man. She was ranked.
Leah Thomas?
She was ranked, she was ranked over 200 in the freestyle before and the mid 500s among men. And then she entered the NCAA champs ranked number 1 among women. And like, it's just, because I don't even think that she actually transitioned, I don't even know what you call Leah Thompson.
She identifies.
Exactly. I think she still has a penis, so it's technically still a man.
Mm-hmm.
But if I identify as a woman, she's going wasn't even close.
She was done by the time they all finished their laps.
Yeah, this is so. There's proof there right there that it's like men and women aren't created equal.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in trouble because I said, well, Leah Thompson should not be able to compete in the Olympics because it's not fair. It's not fair she was a man. And I got a backlash when it's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, so they're no, like transgender no longer able to compete. I'm like, you don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that men and women are created differently. And if you were born a male, you have well, like higher bone density. You have your muscle fibers are different, so you're going to be stronger. Chances are you're going to be taller. Like there's just the way that you glide in a pool is very differently. The way you skate on it, everything is very, very different. If you're born a biological male and you transition to a female, you can't get rid of your XY chromosomes. You can't get rid of the testosterone that's in your body. If you can fake it and you can get estrogen injected in you, doesn't mean you don't still have that bone density. So of course you're going to have an unfair advantage. And one argument, there's a few arguments that they're saying is like, well, are you trying to say that transgender athletes aren't allowed to compete? I'm like, I'm not saying that. You have two options. Either you compete with your natural born sex, so it's equal playing field, or, and this is always an option, we create a third category
for transgenders.
Open. Let's call it open. They don't even have to call it transgender. Let's call it open. That way men can compete against women, women can compete against men, transgender. I think you leave it open. I think that is the best. So if you have an Olympic sport, you have male, female, and open. That way it's fair. Showing all these statistics, these track athletes that are like, women have been trying to break records, and all of a sudden a former male who hasn't had a sex change, still has the same hormones, all of a sudden he's killing records, or now it's a she's killing records. How's that fair? I don't see how that is fair. You already have an unfair advantage. And when I was growing up, that was called cheating.
It's cheating.
And I remember I was like, I had this quote from Instagram, and this girl was just like ripping on me for saying I applauded the U.S. Olympic Company. She's like, I thought you were a decent human being. So I'm like, well, no, I think, and I talked to Natalie about it. And I'm like, my wife, for those who know, and I'm like, she's like, well, no, Dave, anybody who's ever competed in any sports knows that that's cheating. And it's for people that have never competed in sport to know, like, if you've never competed against, if you're a female and never competed against a man, you won't know where we're coming from. But I don't see how that's ever happened, because we all had gym class in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like, go to elementary school. I don't care what grade it is, you know, boys versus girls, who's going to win, you know, and in general, unless it's like, you know, like even the puberty hits, I find that it's not saying that's just the biological aspect of it. And what's going to happen when you're already mature? You're already going through those changes. You already have all that bone density. You already have all that unfair advantage. To me, it's naive to think that we're all created exactly the same thing.
Yeah. It's been something that's been on my mind for such a long time too, because the first time I saw was like the whole Leah Thomas thing. And I felt bad for the girls, because a lot of these girls are training so hard to be able to compete in the women's category. And then now you're allowing for a transgender person, albeit cool, you're transgendering, amazing. But why are you taking an opportunity from like a naturally born woman who's actually worked her tail off to have that spot, and now guys coming to take it? But one of the problems that I think that's caused this is the whole feminist movement, right? So this whole, I there was that whole talk we told like about someone being a feminist, and I'm like, oh, sorry, go on. Yeah, sorry.
I'll let you.
I thought you were gonna add some insight there, but I'd say women have done this to themselves, right? Because you are allowing, and you're saying, yes, I can identify as he, them, they, them. So you have to choose a lane here, right? If you're gonna say you want equality, and you allowing Leah to say she's a girl, but then the girls that you're supporting don't get a shot because this guy is competing, like, what is it gonna be? It's either like you're for selective equality, which is okay, or if you're really about this, then don't complain that the girls are having the opportunities taken.
It's hilarious when it's like, when it comes to, there's all these interviews, people saying, well, can you identify what a woman is? And it's the left, and they're all like, the feminists are like, well, it's all like, and they can't really define what a woman is.
Sometimes they avoid the question
all the time. But when you bring up the topic of abortion and stuff too, they know exactly what a woman is, right? Or they bring this topic of transgender, they know exactly what it doesn't make sense. And there was one, the street preacher was talking about, he's like, they tried to call him a misogynist. Oh, you don't love women. He's like, why? Because I don't want transgender women to compete against sports. I'm like, you're supposed to be a feminist. You're supposed to be bringing females up. That's what a feminist, the idea is supposed to be. He goes, I am trying to do the same thing. I am actually going to bat. You're going to bat for a male that's pretending to be a female.
Yeah.
So he goes, you're actually hurting your own cause as a feminist.
Exactly.
And she just didn't know what to say to that. And I was like, and I agreed to that. I'm like I got called, names for our thoughts on the abortion topic, which we knew it was touchy going into it. We got it. But I was called a misogynist because I don't understand women. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I love women. I think their bodies are sacred. I think what you can do with your body is amazing. I'm more of a feminist when it comes. I got a former feminist than I am a male chauvinist. I am not a misogynist. A misogynist means he hates women. I'm doing the opposite. And I think we're talking about this here is like,
you're advocating for.
I'm advocating for women.
Yeah.
I played at a high level sports. I played the NCAA. I look at the women that we played soccer with. They're like, so I dated a girl on the softball team. I was like, we were surrounded by female athletes. If I would have just said to them like, oh, I was going to be a female, I could take a position of somebody which I cared for. That hurts. You've spent your whole life doing working against other women and trying to make the best possible person you have. It's not fair to have somebody who's bigger and stronger than you to come in and just be because they identify something else, even though all sense says you're not the same. It's about competition. Competition should be fair. It should be that's what it's all about, on a level playing field. This is why apparently steroids are supposed to be outlawed in the Olympics. Are they really? No, but that's a different story. I think they should actually have a whole steroid Olympics. It could be amazing. Pump yourself up as much as you want. You know you're doing it anyway. Just go for it.
Let's see the peak performance.
Yeah, let's see.
Who can hold that on
the strongman competition? They're all on steroids. Watching those freaks of nature, they do it for weightlifting. Like, screw it. Let's just take as many drugs as you want. Don't kill yourself. Let's see what you can do.
Let's see what we can come out with.
I think that would be more like, because everyone's trying to cheat, right? So what happens when you get caught cheating in the Olympics? We use Ben Johnson as an example, although Carl Lewis was also caught with steroids that same year that Ben Johnson was. They doesn't get to the media on time. And then we've seen all the US athletes who had to renege on all their gold medals. But anyway, that's the point. But as soon as they get caught cheating, they're disgraced. Well, now we're blatantly cheating in front of you. And to think that's not cheating, it doesn't make sense. So that same person said, she goes, how would you like if your daughter or son was a transgender and wanted to compete? I'm like, well, then I would tell them to compete within a playing level field. If you had an open forum, would you compete against men and female, let the best person win? Go for it. But if you're a male trying to compete against women, if it was my own son, I don't have a son, but if I had a son trying to compete against a female, I'm like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to make yourself feel better? Like, come on, Leah, you were 200 and freestyle and over 500 men. Now you're beating women. Does that make you the best man? Oh, sorry, woman. Like you're not. It just, to me, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But that being the other side, if a female wants to play against men, all the power to you. I think this is why, like, Manon Rhéaume, the goalie that played for the Tampa Bay, it was a big deal. Like, she was the first woman to ever play in the NHL. It was a big deal because people understood that physically, like, that has never happened before. You don't think men are applauding her until this day? Like, let's change the things around. Women, don't even pretend to be a man. Try to play. We allow you. Like, go for it.
Give it your best shot.
We've never said to somebody that is a female, you can't play in the NBA. But if you had the skill set to get there, 100%. I can't see Caitlin Clark competing and she, in my opinion, I'm sorry.
We got to get into that.
She's probably one of the, if not the best WNBA players. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's even getting me to watch the games. That's huge. But I still, like, sorry, like, you're going to go head to head, not even against LeBron, against like a third stringer. I don't think she's going to beat.
She's going to get wrecked.
Yeah, exactly. And again, nothing taken away from Caitlin from Caitlin's done. That's not what we're saying. And I'm hoping that she gets into the sport and they make a shitload of money, because every year for the last 20 years, they've lost money every single year. It's almost like NBA, it's like the NBA's charity.
Yeah.
Right?
Charity case.
A charity case. But listen, if she had the skill set and was able to play, fucking right, let her play. But no, but what happens if LeBron James wants to become, like, says to you, Owen, tomorrow I'm going to identify as a female?
DC, you'll see all the fake outrage out there come out. Not even fake outrage. It'll be real outrage, because, like, no, LeBron, because it's actually going to be eggs on their faces. I'm telling you, because you'll be like, well, you said I can identify as a woman now. So LeBron,
I tell you this, I'm not a betting man. I will bet my house that whatever game he plays, he'll score the most points in that game.
He'll break records. He'll break records for sure. Yes.
And you don't even need a LeBron James. Like, what happens?
Even like the most regular basic guy at the end of the bench.
Take Spud Webb out of retirement.
Yes. Even those guys, even the most retired guys, they would crush.
If you don't know who Spud Webb was, he was like 5'3", played in the NBA like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of my, he used to dunk.
He was electrifying, man.
I love Spud.
I never got to see him play, of course, because I was like born before after that. But no, even on his side.
You're not young. Eh?
Yeah. DC, I'm 30, man.
Did you ever watch MJ play?
Well, I was living in Nairobi at the time, so we didn't really have access to games.
Sorry. Okay,
but 2003, when I moved to Canada, he was just leaving the Wizards, so I never.
Yeah, you didn't get to see real MJ.
Yeah. So he was really
best player that ever lived.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to that Caitlin Clark topic, right? She just came in. She's been a trailblazer for the WNBA, taking it over by storm. But as much as she's bringing the attention to the WNBA, they've never really gotten this much attention before. She has been receiving a lot of backlash for a multitude of reasons, not just because she's really good, but there's been a lot of backlash from previous players who are, I'd say, feeling a little bit jealous of her.
Oh yeah, she was left off of the Olympic
team.
Now they hear the investigation going on against the referees because they're blatant fouls that they weren't calling against her. Now they're all getting reprimanded because of it. I heard also because she's not a lesbian. There's and
she's Catholic. She's Catholic Christian. Yeah, she has a boyfriend.
Yeah, so these are all things that the WNBA was not prepared for, and she's not black. Sorry, like
she's like a regular white chick.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is that I feel is like I think the WNBA has been propped by a lot of it's been predominantly a black league, a black lesbian league, and I think they wanted to bring the league to prominence their way, if it makes sense to you, right? So they want us
but it's not been working.
It's not been working, right? So a lot of Caitlin's fans come and fill up the arenas. They're leaving their $10,000 seating capacity arenas to move them to the WNBA arenas. Like they recently just played.
You mean the NBA?
Yes, sorry, thank you. The NBA arenas. The Gainsborough Fieldhouse in Indiana where the Pacers play, that's where they play all their games now. Before they were not playing at that venue. When they played the Las Vegas Aces, they were playing at a 10,000 seat capacity arena. Now they play at the T-Mobile Arena, which fits like 27,000. They sold 20,000 seats for Caitlin's game.
See, I had this, well, not really argument. It was a mutual friend, my former player I was coaching with her on the women's team, like her partner. Natalie went to elementary school with her.
Yeah.
And so we were talking like, so obviously lesbian couple. And it was like, and we were talking about this online because I pulled Caitlin Clark, she left out. She's like, she brought up the argument and she's like, well, listen, Dave, you understand. Like, and I understand too, because again, I know who her girlfriend is and like sort of the partner is and stuff too. And I get where their shoes coming from because, well, there's some veterans in the league that paid their dues. Right. And it's okay. But I was like, yeah, but if you have the most electrifying athlete in all the sports entertainment, obviously he's The Rock, but you have an athlete now that is bringing in audiences.
The dollars.
The amount of people, like I would watch the Olympics if she's in there. If she's not in there, I'm not watching it.
DC,
Let me finish my fucking comment.
No, I was gonna say I want to buy a Caitlin Clark jersey. I'd rock that jersey.
Second, I would watch the games. I would be rooting for her. I would be like, and listen, she's bringing people that have never watched a sport.
Yes.
So in order to grow the sport, you could be on a national level across the world, not a national level, I'm sorry, a worldwide level. Other countries can see Caitlin Clark. Don't you think that would help the NBA and WNBA? And she brought up the point, she said, well, think about when Sidney Crosby came into the league, they didn't have him on the Olympic team. I'm like, well, what about Eric Lindros? When Eric Lindros, he drew so much attention when he said no to the Nordiques. They had a Canada Cup that year. He wasn't even in the NHL, and he took the roster of somebody else in the NHL. So yeah, even the NHL saw this guy's our superstar. So not to mention too, at the same time, the NHL was making money, a lot of money at the time. Probably not as much as when, like after obviously when Gretzky went to the LA, they started, the fan base started to get more and more, but they understood what the public wanted to see.
They want to see stars.
They want to see stars, but they also like to see controversial stars. People will tune in. Look at the Olympics with what's her name? Harrigan. Remember she got her knee smashed, with Tonya Harding. Remember Tonya Harding smashed,
what sport is this? Tonya Harding.
Figure skating.
Come on, man.
That's my point.
Okay.
My point is fucking figure skating. No offense to this figure skating. We watched figure skating a year.
Yeah.
Because she was it not hard. Tanya Harding smashed the Nancy Kerrigan's leg. I can't remember her name, but anyway, I think it's. But we, as a kid, we even tuned in to watch freaking figure skating because we wanted to see how this played out. Because there was controversy because it was a national level. Don't you think this would happen even more in the WNBA? The WNBA, as we mentioned, has never earned a profit. Never. Now they're getting attendance, and now they're selling jerseys. What? People want to wear Caitlyn jerseys like you do? Like
I'd buy it.
I would wear one of her jerseys and rock it too. And that's the point. I would even wear a USA jersey for crying out loud with her name on the back of it. So they can't be short-minded. So you're going to piss off a couple of players which have had the opportunity to do something, which she is actually technically better than some of them on the roster as well.
100%.
So she's got the better skill. So she didn't pay her dues. Guys, without her, you wouldn't have a league. If you don't have her, you might not have a league moving forward. Like, it's just treated like a business.
They don't want to treat it as a business, though. They want to have success in the LGBTQ way with a Black woman running the league. But that's not been working. And listen, I understand your plight that you wanted to really embrace who the WNBA has been. But now they're feeling the cleansing of what's coming.
But let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Who watches the most amount of sports?
Men. Actually, women actually too. Even and I saw a stat: a majority of the people who watch it is women at the NFL. Sorry, yes,
yeah. If you take out that, but majority men, right?
Yeah.
So you have men watching WNBA now. That's the only reason why it's starting to earn some cash flow. And why is that? Why are men watching? Again, I want to see her play.
I look forward to her highlights and games.
I watch SportsCenter to watch her, like when she's on there too. I didn't give a shit about the WNBA before.
Me neither.
Like, I actually watched the Final Four of the show. I was watching her play. I was like,
man, she was so good.
I know.
That was such an electrifying game.
She won. Unfortunately, I know that she didn't win, but it is what it is, right? But my point is, like, you're turning on fans, which could help your league. So smarten up.
That was such a blunder they left her off the Olympic thing, because if you look at the USA basketball, the whole mandate is to grow the game, women's basketball.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be growing the game.
Why did the NHL join the Olympic team? It was the same. Sorry, the Olympics.
Yeah,
it was the same idea
to grow the game. So if you have the golden goose and you're not allowing her to play, so like you're legit leaving her, and your league's been suffering, it just shows there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of animosity towards her, because I think inherently these women are mad that she's a rookie coming in and taking over the game by storm. She just got a $28 million deal from Nike. That's never happened to any other women basketball player ever at that level. So I don't know what's going to happen with them, but I just think they need to let Caitlyn be Caitlyn, right?
When you're comparing Angel Reese, is also going for the rookie of the year versus Caitlin Clark. They both have attributes, we're saying too. So we talk a little
have merit.
They both have merit for this too. But what we're saying too, so Angel Reese, for example, which Isaac brought up a good point. She's the first player to record 10 consecutive double-doubles in a single season in WNBA history, which is fantastic. So she should be in the running for rookie of the year. Caitlin Clark was the first ever rookie to record a triple-double in WNBA history. So they both have merit. But we're not even talking about that. I think actually both of them should be recognized to be on the Olympic team. I think they're doing better than
of course.
But because of these other people didn't pay their dues. But Angel Reese is not as big of a draw to the WNBA as much as Caitlin Clark. But listen, I would still say there's paying dues the right way and the wrong way. But at this point, it's like you have two top athletes now, but I would say one which already has the world looking to her. And then I would throw Angel Reese in there too. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
On the Olympic team?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I do see the thing about Angel Reese, but like the reason we watch Caitlin Clark is because she plays the way us as guys look at players like Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry. She's electrifying.
Yeah,
she's shooting like logo threes. She's throwing dimes. She's like,
well, she's also harassed and she just lets it slip off her shoulder.
Yeah.
Like you don't see her fight back and stuff too. Well, did you see the other day too? Like she was helping a girl, like the ball almost got hit in her head and she batted away, and the girl pushed her, like getting mad at her, and like another teammates like she was protecting you.
Yeah,
you know, like even still when she's getting elbows in the face, just help protecting other people. I think that's admirable.
Yeah. I just think like this, the whole thing we're talking about earlier, the reason why she's so polarizing is because she's the opposite of what the WNBA is, right? Culturally, racially, sexually, everything, right? So you have that going against her, and she's like a rookie taking the game over by storm. All of those combined is a recipe for everything we just discussed: the animosity towards her, the hate and jealousy that comes from it. Even like the coach of like the Minnesota Lynx who coaches the Olympic team was like saying the W is more than one player, right? Because they are feeling some type of way that this girl just came in and she's getting all the recognition. So you can't say that the jealousy and the racism isn't a part of it.
Of course. Yeah. Well, and I'll bring it back to when I was growing up as a kid, like the reason why Wayne Gretzky was traded from a small town of, Edmonton Oilers. They won a couple of championships. Why did they bring him to LA? Like that was the one that trade. Like and NHL was orchestrating that too. They needed to bring an audience to South California and to the rest of the states. It took one person, and look how many they have now south of the border. Look, you got Florida teams, 2 Florida teams for
the Panthers.
You got Vegas, of course, the Panthers just won the Stanley Cup. Like, think about all the teams down south. Like, Dallas came from Minnesota. Like, they had all these teams in there, which would have never been possible if it wasn't for one player, and that was Wayne Gretzky. Could Caitlin Clark be that for the WNBA? Well, allow her to be that. I think they're missing a huge opportunity for not allowing her on the Olympic team.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how they're doing this, because even when someone like Victor Wembanyama comes into the NBA, do you think the commissioner is going to allow him to go to Charlotte? No, you're going to take him to the Spurs. You're going to make sure the Spurs get the first pick because they have a stable organization who's actually going to market him as like a global star. Jordan came in, did the same thing. Even when they're making the U.S. Olympic team, there are guys who belonged on that team. I know
you're all flustered. I know. We need to wrap up, my friend.
Yes, guys.
We could talk about this all day long, but listen.
I love a good sports debate.
Well, and that's like, we're not debating about, I think we're on an alignment here, and that's the problem, right?
I think we're frustrated because we're seeing how things could be and what we're being deprived of because of certain agendas and feelings of certain people who are decision making place to be saying, okay, Olympic team, prop Caitlin Clark, so forth and so on. But I'm gonna wrap it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 84 of the DC Talks podcast with David Chinelli.
I know we can go on all day, guys. And if you want to talk more about this, we can talk about this offline. If you want us to talk like another conversation about this, again, we would love to be able to spur more. And we want to hear your notes. Am I wrong thinking about the transgender should be not allowed to have their own open forum? I think they should have their own open forum and allow them to compete in the Olympics. That's the way we're not missing out on anybody. I think that's the best solution, I think, of both worlds. And I also, we have our own opinions of what's happening in the Olympics.
We'll see you next week. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit up David on Instagram, DavidVChinelli_realtor. And let's keep the conversation going. This is a very trending topic, so we'd love to know what your thoughts are about the whole Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and your opposing thoughts on transgenders competing in their own sports or also being allowed to compete with the women, and how you feel about that. We'll see you next week. Have a great day and chat soon. Peace.